Hello everybody, this is Purge, bringing you guys a first-person replay commentary. I played Venomancer this game. This is a ranked solo queue from, I don't know, 2 days ago or something like that. Venomancer is one of the strongest supports right now, even in the pro scene. He's actually a little bit under tier 1, I would say. He was maybe tier 1 a couple weeks ago, but right now he's probably like a tier 2 support, something like that. So he's still picked sometimes, but he's not quite as popular as he was a bit ago. So he was recently nerfed. He got a 5 base damage nerf, which kind of hurts his solo potential, and also really limits the amount of damage that he can do at level 1, since Gale is so amazing. And that's basically what it kind of revolves around, is that Gale is such a good spell that they thought he did a little too much damage early, so they reworked how Gale worked. It actually does a lot more damage at level 4. And but the slow is still the same. It only does 25 damage actually with 1 skill point, which isn't that fantastic at all, but as you level it up, it does do more and more damage. So it's kind of basically turns him into like a utility slow hero that has some right click, and then in the mid game he ends up being like a pusher, basically with a moderate amount of utility. So this game I'm playing hard support. I did see their hero lineup. It's way too greedy. It only has 1 support, which means that I can probably greedily place observer wards and block their entire jungle from being able to do a whole lot. So usually when you do this, if you really don't expect them to have sentry wards, if they only have 1 support, this will probably be the case. But you place 1 ward on the magic bush, which will block this large camp and this pole camp, and then you place another observer ward or sentry ward somewhere over here. And what this does is it basically forces the jungling hero, whether that's Nature's Prophet or Axe, they can only have this camp respawning and this camp, and they're so far away that it makes their jungling really inefficient. So this is how you protect them from doing this. I don't know what the Prophet did this game. I think he actually spent time in our jungle instead, because our jungle is not warded, and as long as we don't go into our jungle, that should be fairly safe for him. But we'll see what he does based on the map, because this is a replay. So now, since I already placed those, we had a Death Prophet off lane, which is ridiculously bad. If you check her starting items, she actually had a soul ring first, so I didn't even want to have anything to do with that. After the game was over, she was the lowest MMR on her team, which I noticed. So just little trends like that, you might be able to interfere in your pub games. Not that it's very constructive. This Axe is playing really aggressive, and I'm shifting to the top lane, so I figure we could absolutely wreck him. If I can land the Gale on him, we should be able to get the kill, because we have an anti-mage and a Shadow Shaman. But the hard part is getting there without being spotted, so I'm going to try to run as much as I can next to the trees, and at this point I can get behind him. And once we land the Gale, it's a guaranteed kill. So again, the Gale only does 25 magic damage, but just landing it pretty much sets up and guarantees the kill. It's like Rubik was actually looking to spend some time in the jungle. Not quite sure why. Sometimes it's good to use your Clarity Potion immediately after Galing when you're playing Venomancer, but I think in this case it was not necessarily worth it. His mana pool with 2 Ironwood branches is almost enough where you can Gale twice in a row. So after I Gale the first time, as long as I don't really need to Gale within 20 seconds, I'm just going to save my Clarity. But this is the best starting item build in my opinion. You go Courier, Observer Ward, 2 Ironwood, 1 Tango, and 2 Clarities. This is the build for almost all support heroes that I get, even within like pro games and stuff like that. I think it's the best thing to get, just because you generally don't need a salve. As long as you're playing correctly, you're not really going to need the salve. At level 2, you usually pick up Poison Sting, because it gives you a lot more damage output as a support hero. I'm going to spot both heroes. It's pretty important that I Gale both of these guys, because otherwise there's a good chance of me dying. I really do need to stay away from the Axe, and occasionally I want to hit him. That way the Poison Sting is active. And I'll go in here and maybe help out this as well. I was really sad that he spawned twice there, but he spawned twice. So anti-mage is going to be able to pick up the kill at least, so we got that going for us. But yeah, that's a super dead anti-mage. Not really the best trade for us, honestly. I think I maybe could have done that a bit better, but it's hard to say. I did provide slows on the Axe, but it wasn't quite enough, and he spun twice when I was in melee range. I just wanted to keep putting the Poison Sting on him, because it actually does slow by a pretty good amount. It's 11% slow, which is 5 magic damage per second for 6 seconds, so it's like a 30 magic damage hit every time you attack, assuming you don't do extra attacks. If you do extra attacks, then the damage is technically reduced. So actually Venomancer's damage at this point is really weak. Really, really weak. And we've seen this sometimes in pro games as well. I think at the MLG tournament, I remember a moment where Liquid was running like a dual offlane, like a Venomancer or something else, against a Clockwork, and the Veno just didn't have enough damage burst. It really made a big difference in the impact of the ganks, because he Galed and the guy can't move, but the problem is that then you just have a Venomancer right-clicking with Poison Sting, and it does very little damage output. Even a hero like Crystal Maiden or Vengeful Spirit does way more damage output, because one of their nukes, it does at least 100 damage, so... I'm actually being spotted by their heroes. I was going to pull this through, but then I realized that they both spotted me. And again, I'm going to Gale both heroes, because that makes them extremely slow. And this also really lets our allies just come in and hopefully clean up the team fight. Again, applying the slow to the Rubik.
Top tower is under attack.
And we should be able to kill that guy. The Gale slow is amazing, really is, guys. If you can land your Gales on Venomancer, you can do a lot of work. So at this point I was a little unsure which skill build I wanted to go. If you want to do more damage with your Venomancer, like all the problems I was just talking about, if you're really worried about some burst damage, the best thing you can do by level 3 is get 2 points in Gale. Because the damage goes from 25 to 200, I think. Let me do the math really quick. 30 damage over time, times 5 is 150, plus 50 strike damage. So it goes from 25 damage to 200 damage. It's a ridiculously high scaling damage number. The mana cost is the same at all levels. I was trying to pull this, by the way, which is why I did this, but the mana cost is the same at all levels, so it's really efficient to get your damage up. If you need burst damage on Venomancer, the 2-1 build is the best way to go. And then you can go into any other build that you want, but if you really want damage, 2-1 is the way to go. But since we have a tri-lane and it's versus a dual or a single lane, it's not as big of a deal for me to max out Gale or to get 2 levels of Gale, because mostly I'm just using it as a disable. I'm not really using it for the damage, but some games I do think it's worth it to grab 2 levels of Gale. It just kind of depends. So like I said, if it's a dual or a solo lane, it's not as important to get the damage, but if I was against a tri-lane, or yeah, if I was against a tri-lane and the lane was a bit more contested, then I would probably be more likely to get 2 levels of Gale. That's probably my thinking of it. And also, the main reason that I want to delay the Venomous skill, what am I getting out of by delaying it? It's basically my Plague Wards are going to be maxed out a little earlier. I wanted to threaten a Gale towards the Rubik there, because there was a chance that he was going to try denying. I'm just putting that ward down to apply the Plague Ward slow, by the way. We are able to kill the Bloodseeker, that was pretty fun. Yeah, but what I'm basically getting out of delaying the Venomous Gale skilling is I get more Plague Wards early. And Plague Wards are kind of crappy at level 1 and level 2, but once they get up to level 4, they have huge implications from a support hero, because it basically allows you to counter push, you can scout, and with the Venomancer's recent buffs, you can actually apply half of the Poison Sting damage from your Plague Wards. So now, as you can see, my Plague Wards are applying the poison damage to the creeps. That's why I placed the Plague Ward down when the Bloodseeker was running up, because I was worried about dying. I put the Plague Ward down. It applies the 11% slow on him, and it makes him a little harder. It makes it a little harder for him to try to get kills on us. That's why I did it. So, if you delay the Gale damage, I would only have 1 Plague Ward right now, and the Plague Wards are horrible at level 1. At level 2, they're kind of okay. I'm just going to stack this small camp. I actually messed it up here. It actually wasn't going to stack no matter what, because the healing creep, if there's any damage missing from these creeps, he'll actually just stand still and heal himself repeatedly. The only way to pull that camp is if they're all full HP and you walk into it. If you attack it, they're going to take damage, the healing creep will heal. So that's how that works. Again, just applying some poison damage to these guys, just so that they have the slow. I could have Galed him right there. It might have been okay, and I actually still end up Galing him anyways. I think the anti-mage can go on this, honestly. And we're just going to do some right-clicking on this guy. Pretty easy pickup here. Need to apply slows to all these guys. We've got 3 levels of Plague Wards now.
Your light axe is not axe.
I'm just trying to continue to put Plague Wards down to help out. The slow is going to make a difference, so that was really nicely done by the Shadow Shaman mostly. My juking was okay. Upon rewatching it, I almost would have liked going for the Arcanes first, because I was a bit worried that I was going to die here. I do know there's a Bloodseeker on the enemy team, so I'm actually going to TP out, and this works out perfectly, because he was actually sitting waiting to see what I did. So TPing out is definitely the way to go. You can't run back against a Bloodseeker, you have to teleport if you're low HP.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Looks like the Shadow Shaman also teleported out. But with your first bit of gold, I'm actually being really greedy this game. I bought the Courier, but looks like Shadow Shaman upgraded, And I didn't buy wards either. I don't know if they're in the shop or not. I actually went arcanes with a magic wand. But fast arcanes when you're going this build on Venomancer is actually pretty good, because you're going to end up spending a lot of time casting plague wards, like a lot of time. And once you grab arcanes, you can cast them as much as you want, and you're actually never going to run out of mana. So it's pretty, if you're going to go max plague wards, the arcane boots build is really good. If I, for example, maybe haven't been doing as well in the early game and I might have died or something, then what you can do instead of getting arcane boots is you can just kind of delay your boots upgrade and you can go straight into a mech or do something else. I don't know. You don't really need arcane boots, but it's really, really nice to have. If I can get a fast arcane boots on Venomancer, it's fantastic. You see the Bloodseeker coming here. I was kind of hoping to block this guy a little bit, but it looks like he phased or something. So I'm just right-clicking him as much as possible, and luckily our Death Prophet used her ulti, so despite losing the anti-mage, it wasn't the worst thing, because we got the XP after. So the other really good benefit of grabbing arcane boots is it makes your mana pool huge, and it easily allows you to use Poison Nova. If you don't grab arcane boots, it can very much hamper your ability to use Poison Nova, Veno's ulti. Arcane boots gives me 250 mana. If I didn't have that, I'd have a bit over 300 mana right now. Trying to get my ulti off before I die. I get a wand off as well and apply some poison here. I'm gonna die 100%, but being able to put the poison on these guys is really nice. Luckily that guy ends up dying. We clean up really hard there. Completely worth it for me to die, because luckily for me the axe use is cool a little bit late. If he didn't do that, I might not have been able to ulti, and then the damage output over the Prophet and the Prophet didn't get hit, but the damage output over the axe wouldn't have been enough to kill him very likely. So yeah, my damage output is not fantastic right now. As you guys could see, I was actually not doing very much DPS on those guys. Unfortunately, this guy looks, yeah, he's pretty dead. Bloodseeker's actually a really hard counter against anti-mage, so nicely done by the Bloodseeker. But yeah, being able to max out the Plague Wards is really useful. We did it, we were able to take the tower. It gives you a lot of stuff that's around the fight. Even though the poison damage isn't very much right now, just being able to keep that debuff on your opponents is a big impact, because 10% movement speed is around 30. So it's like almost a boots counter, basically. I'm just going to put the Plague Ward here on the high ground. I'm actually not microing this properly, but there we go. I fixed it up. Just continuing to put Plague Wards down to keep the damage output up. And now we will slow the Juggernaut as well. I tried pretty hard to keep the jump to me, but it didn't work out. Ooh, I should have microed these to kill the Plague Ward, or the Healing Ward. I saw this just now. I didn't see it last time that we played. I'm a little worried about getting killed right now because Bloodseeker is dead, but the Prophet could teleport, so I'm just going to run back to base at this point. At this point, it's usually best to max out Poison Sting, because if you go max Plague Wards, they're synergistic, so it's good to get 4 Poison Sting levels with 4 levels of Plague Wards, because you're going to have Plague Wards down everywhere anyways, so you might as well apply a super nasty debuff. Again, it does half the damage, but at level 4 Poison Sting, it does 20 damage per second for your hero and lasts for 15 seconds, which is a ridiculous amount of time. So 15 seconds it lasts. They have a 14% slow in them, and it only does 10 damage per second, but that's still fantastic for a Plague Ward. So Plague Wards are really good for that. I'm going to try to slow down this push a bit. I'm going to use Plague Wards. I'm also going to Gale this. You might be a little confused why I decided to Gale, and it's basically because I want to make sure that the dive is a little less threatening. If creeps aren't following you, you're not taking as much damage, and it also means that they're not able to like dive me under towers or dive me through tree juking as well. So it's a bit of a waste in some ways in case I did get dived by heroes, but just Galing the creep wave kind of like sends a message and says like, your creeps aren't going to follow me, it's going to be a lot harder for you to dive me if you really want to do this, and puts me in a fairly safe spot. So whenever I'm killing waves with Veno, I always put the Plague Wards behind the range creeps, because nobody's attacking the range creeps. That means that if your Plague Wards start off on the range creeps, you'll get the last hit on those. It's a lot safer, basically. So I like to go behind first. I'm a little worried about dying here because the Bloodseeker could be coming top, so I'm just going to play a little safe. Sometimes it's a bit hard to get the CS and the creep wave with the Plague Wards unless you tune up with them, so I just kind of let them auto attack. It's probably not the smart thing to do, but it's something you can do. And I'm also going for Mechanism. I think Mechanism is by far the best Veno build as the support. Sometimes you can get things like Force Staff or other utility items, but In this game, at least, I'm definitely the best mech carrier, other than maybe Death Prophet, but since she was offlane, she's probably having a bit of a rough time, so I'm definitely going to go into the jungling standpoint here. I'm trying not to take too much damage if possible, and I'm just trying to pull all of the neutral creeps towards my clump of wards. You usually don't want to place the wards right on top of the camps, because it's going to prevent them from spawning the subsequent camps, so usually you want to place them somewhere a little bit outside of the creep spawn and go for the CS from there. So this is easily something that you can do with Venomancer in your downtime. This is one of the reasons that he's a really strong support hero. It's because he can find farm independently of kills and pushing and all that other stuff. I mean, most of the time you do want to be there for your team when you go for pushes, but it's not bad at all to go to the jungle sometimes like this and just use your poison sting and your plague wards to kill jungle camps fairly fast. And you can do this without taking damage, as you guys can see. I'm getting hit occasionally, but generally it's mostly just my plague wards pulling the creeps in and out, and they're coming towards me. The plague wards are going to do most of the damage though. So I could see that that guy was probably looking at me, so I'm going to walk away. I put my plague ward down, and we will spot some heroes over here as well. I did apply the debuff to him. We may be able to do it on the axe as well. That was a pretty easy kill. Most importantly, I almost have my mech finished. Our kills are actually really even this game. I'm quite surprised on that. I think our Death Prophet was dying quite a bit, and Anti-Mage has actually died a few times as well. So I'm being a little greedy here, trying to steal last hits, but it's basically because I know that my mech is really close, and I frankly don't care. When I'm 500 or 50 gold away from a mech, I'll take CS. I think that's alright, even though it's very early in the game. I mean, mech is fantastic. It's going to help a lot against the Juggernaut, it's going to help a lot against the Bloodseeker, even the Axe. The heal is going to be a big deal for my team. So I'm going to try to TP down here to try to stop this push. This is probably the first major mistake that I made, but I was a little scared about this. So I thought I would maybe be able to slow down. I actually missed my Gale on the Juggernaut. But I vastly overestimated the counter push power that just my ulti is going to be able to do. I really thought that I was going to be able to slow them down, but it did not work. If I would have been there a little earlier and I had Plague Ward set up and I would have been able to Gale on top of that before they started hitting the tower, then I could have gotten it. But with that many Treants up, like, my ulti is not going to instantly stop the push. It would have stopped the push within 10 seconds, but I needed to ulti it 10 seconds earlier, so I was just trying something out there, and it was absolutely not the right thing to do. So a bit of a waste of my ulti, and that actually kills almost all my damage output. Because Venom ulti actually is pretty good damage at level 1. It does 36 damage per second for 12 seconds, which means it does around 450 magic damage, which is essentially, it's not a Finger of Death anymore, it's like an AoE Laguna Blade. Which is pretty good. It is delayed, of course. We have a bit of a fight going on here. I have a DD on my hero, so I can hit really hard. Looking good. Just gonna mech my allies. I maybe should have waited an extra moment here, because if I would have waited an extra moment, then I maybe could have baited the Bloodseeker in harder. But regardless, the fight went really well for us. We got 2 kills for nothing. So, and now my poison is maxed out, and also I have Poison Nova now at level 2. Does 58 damage per second now. Trying to put a Plague Ward down to apply slow on these guys if possible. And I was able to get the Rubik, but we can't really dive that right now. So. And now we can kind of do a lot of pushing. They're actually split pushing us quite a bit. That's the Prophet doing work. That's maybe something that I could be active for, but at least for now it's a bit difficult. I didn't know this guy actually had a blink dagger yet. I'll pop the mech here. And I'm going to continue to put wards down. I thought his TP was going to finish. Didn't finish. I know the Bloodseeker can see me because of his passive. And there's the Prophet. I did this wrong. I should have, I knew that he could see me. I maybe should have sat by my allies more. I'm not entirely sure. But I should have just waited for a TP, and unfortunately I wasted a bit too much mana. That was a big overdive from us. I think some of them called back, but we definitely stuck around way too long. We didn't need to lose 4 heroes there. That was a pretty big mistake. So, as you can see, like, mech covers you in a team fight, but it doesn't cover you in like 2 or 3 team fights long. You're eventually going to run out. So we're going to lose this tower for sure, since a bunch are dead. That was a big mistake. We really shouldn't have gotten ourselves in that position. At least Bloodseeker has no mana. That's pretty nice.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Another reason why Gale is usually not worth leveling up right away is a lot of people will look at it and say, it does 600 magic damage at level 4, it's fantastic. And I thought the same thing when Venomancer first came out. But in most situations, especially in the mid to late game, Gale is not going to be hitting every single hero. And very rarely will it even hit more than 2, and most of the time it's only going to be used on 1 hero. So you have to understand that even though the damage is fantastic, except for like really early game situations where like that every point of damage is a big deal, it's usually not worth it to max out because the damage is not as reliable. Usually, I mean, if you get 4 levels of Poison Sting, you've got so much damage output, and it's going to hit everybody in the entire fight, guaranteed. I was able to Gale both heroes there, and I put my ulti on them as well. Axe as a hero is definitely worth picking up. With my ulti. I should have blocked this different. I should have put the ward right here. We still got the kill really easily, but I should have blocked out his juke path. That was a mistake. Fight went pretty well though. It was basically a bad fight by them. Shadow Shaman got his wards off, so the fight just started off perfectly. Really, really nice fight for us. Most importantly, the hero that I need to hit my ulti with are either Axe or the Bloodseeker. Those are the ones that are hard to kill. So if I can hit them with my ulti, things are going to be just fine. But again, I just used Gale on one guy. Or 2 guys, sorry. I got the slow off on both. And everything was going to be just okay after that point. Though the poison slows are helping quite a bit. But yeah, Rubik getting hit by both means he's absolutely dead. There's nothing you can do about that. So my damage output is solid at this point. I'm going to go for a Force Staff next because that's going to help us stay alive against possibly Axe, Bloodseeker, Nature's Prophet. It's maybe not the most useful thing right here, but it's pretty darn good. If we look at the map, we can see they're collapsing on me. I didn't know this because we don't have ward vision. We have a ward over here, and I believe they do as well, or something like that.
Swift comes the season.
This is pretty scary. The only other stuns were Juggernaut's ulti and the Rubik lift, but I blocked the Juggernaut off with my Plague Ward and I was able to TP over there. But they very obviously have an Observer Ward. I don't remember where it is exactly. Maybe it's somewhere here, but they could see me. I'm not sure why. Yeah, there's their ward. Their ward was right over there. So their ward could spot me. I knew that they probably had a ward in this area. And luckily I was able to TP out. Don't be afraid to TP against a Bloodseeker. It's your easiest escape easily. So Arcane Mech Wand, I think, is pretty much the core on support Venomancer. I think it's very good. Some games you can get different item builds, like a medallion or something, but I just think it's really safe. Venomancer's survivability is quite low, his movement speed is low, his strength gain is pretty bad, so putting a mech on top of you while getting an arcane pretty much covers all of your bases. The arcanes allow you to use all your spells, and it also covers your mechanism for uses, so since there's some downtime, I'll just spend some time in the jungle. I was hoping that this guy would let me get this since I'm so close to my Force Staff, but he was actually just really happy to take these CS. Missed that one as well. Now I had to type something. I was like, please let me farm. I'm so close. Another thing that I could point out that I just talked about how 1 Gale is enough. I would say against Blink heroes, sometimes it's good to get 2 levels of Gale, because at level 1 it doesn't do damage every 3 seconds. At level 2 it does do that 30 damage every 3 seconds, which can disable a Blink. So if you're up against a Blink hero and you're worried about him being really evasive, it's sometimes worth it to put more skill points into Gale early, maybe a second point. That way, if you do Gale like an Earthshaker or something like that, no matter what, he unlikely will be able to blink in time. So it makes it a lot harder if he's also taking poison damage every 3 seconds, in conjunction with you spamming wards after him while you chase him. So there it is, Force Staff, Mech, Arcanes. I'm really happy with my build so far. I can just continue pushing. I haven't really done a good job of defending pushes, so you haven't really seen like a buildup of wards when we're being pushed yet, but it is still something that you can do. Like right now, that's something I'm still working on, even in pro games, is that I'm not very good at predicting where pushes are coming. So sometimes I don't have the wards set up in time, basically. I ended up galing all of these creeps because I was a little bit worried about them pushing in. And the only reason I'm being so timid around the creeps is because I know that their heroes could kind of be anywhere. If a Bloodseeker shows up, I'm going to have a bad time. If Nature's Prophet shows up, it might be a little bit of a scary thing. Anyways, we got a fight going on, so I'm going to try to show up. I'm actually going to be a little late here. They were calling for me to show up so we could like smoke or something weird like that, but didn't quite feel necessary to me entirely. But we did win another team fight, 1 support for 3 heroes. That was 2 cores and a support. Really, really worth it for us. My Gale's getting leveled up again. And I just wanted to get a bit of vision on the left side while still jungling with it, so. I was actually okay with him taking the ECS. He's an anti-mage, whatever. Not a big deal. It is very important that you carry TPs versus Bloodseekers. If you guys don't do this yet, you really need to. It's a huge difference. I've already survived against Bloodseeker at least once because of it. It's by far the best counter. You just need to know what heroes are around you and whether or not they have stuns and whether or not they use them yet. So, it's very important. The passive is so good. I mean, it's 20 damage per second. It does kill as well if you didn't know. The only reason I kind of stood around is because I wanted to make sure that I got the EXP. That made me think that there was an observer ward over here, and that's why they saw why he knew anti-mage was there. He was putting an observer ward on the courier, and I wanted to bring it because I wanted to check that high ground to see if a ward was truly there. Because I knew based on Rubik's movement that he probably had ward vision. There's no way that a Rubik will go high ground in the jungle like that without there being a ward. So yeah, it looks like he just placed this too. That's really nice. He probably walked here, placed the ward, saw the anti-mage, and walked around and stole blink is what he wanted to do. So easy D-wards there. Most of the D-warding that I do in pubs is just based on predictions. If I either see somebody place a ward, or if they obviously know that I'm somewhere where they shouldn't have vision, basically. So we could just kind of group and push at this point. Like, we're honestly out farming them. I'm sure this is the case if we take a look at the graphs. Yeah, we have more farm than them. Our EXP is pretty good as well. If we take a look at actual items, our anti-mage is pretty delayed actually. He's died quite a few times in the early game because of the Bloodseeker, but he almost has his Manta. Once he gets his Manta, he's going to be fairly survivable against the Prophet, who has an Orchid, and fairly survivable against the Bloodseeker, who also has the Silence. So Juggernaut's a little scary as well, but once he gets Manta style, he's going to be a lot safer. So once he gets Manta, I'm not going to be too worried. Shadow Shaman's going to get absolutely wrecked here. And now we have to be really careful. One way that I don't have to worry about being careful is that I can use Plague Wards. And I accidentally triggered this one off on Roshan, but I just kind of want to keep putting wards in an area that if they start approaching us, they will be taking poison damage. And that's going to start the battle off really nicely here. Is able to Gale too. Really good heroes to Gale as well. It's a very weird place to hide, but looks like there are other allies left. They could have tried Roshanian or something like that, but they didn't bother. It's kind of weird. It was a little dangerous for me to play like that, kind of like weaving in and out of the trees, but again, if I drop a Plague Ward down and it hits them, it doesn't do very much right-click damage, but the slow is actually pretty impactful. And it keeps hitting them. And they can't really do a whole lot about it. They could go diving after me, but no matter what, I should have the advantage of them not having vision on me. I can hide in trees, I can put Plague Wards down that are going to continuously slow them. And I threw the Gale just so that I had a little bit more control over them. If they're that slowed, and they're taking not a ton of magic damage, but a slight to moderate amount, then it puts them in a dangerous spot, basically. That wasn't very smart. That wasn't really going to accomplish a whole lot. And Plague Wards are also very good for Roshani. I haven't done it in a video in a while, but I really like doing Plague Ward stacks against ancient camps as well. And just in case the Prophet was committing to this push, I wanted to put a bunch of Plague Wards down. So I just made sure to cast on every single one, or right click on every single one of the Treants, and I'm even going to Gale it for a bit of bonus damage here. I just really want to make sure that the Prophet doesn't get free towers. Like, we're winning team fights, he shouldn't be getting free gold out of it. So this is not quite the most efficient way to stack it. Usually you want to put it in a little clump instead of spreading it out, but it's not that big of a deal. So, stacking Plague Wards, I can go do something else now. This at least protects the push for about 45 seconds. 40 seconds is the Plague Ward duration. The Creep Wave probably won't be back there again, but stacking a Plague Wards is not that big of a deal. I have the mana for it, so I wasn't too worried about it. We did see this DD Bloodseeker. I was hoping that the Anti-Mage would react to it. He's actually deciding to fight it, which really surprises me. That was so greedy. He could have easily died right there. If the Bloodseeker and the Prophet knew which one was the real anti-mage, he'd just be dead. Super dead. And as we're in their territory, I'm just going to continue to put Plague Wards everywhere. This will cover us, especially if a fight's happening here. I want to create a line outside of us that's going to result in us being safe. And I just need to put a Plague Ward down so that I can slow that guy. And there we go. It applied. It's a little late on the axe reaction here. And again, I'm just going to ulti the axe. Happy to do this. I'll mech as well. And that's an easy kill. Again, if you're just using your ulti on one guy, it's not that bad. If it's an axe or a really tanky hero like that and you know that you can guarantee their death, go for it.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Prophet's again counter pushing, but we actually have the anti-major this time, so that should be just fine.
Bottom tower is under attack.
And now we can go high ground. We actually, with these 4 heroes, we actually have a pushing strat going. Forge Spirits, Shadow Shaman, Venomancer, and a Death Prophet. It's actually quite a good push strat. And as soon as we go high ground, you just spam the wards down. Every time they're off cooldown, you look for Gale targets, and you just continue to buff your allies. I'm just going to run into this as well. Hopefully I can take a slash. Actually, I didn't take any slashes at all. And now the fight is not looking so good. Again, continue to put down Plague Wards if possible. It looks like I did have my mech there. It was a bit of a mistake for me. Definitely should have used that mech earlier. I had a bit of a weak play there. I should have been putting these Plague Wards on the barracks the entire time. If I would have done that, then we could have gotten the barracks right there. So that was a pretty big mess up. We could have a Rax right now. There's a lot of stuff going on in the fight, so it makes a bit of sense. I didn't realize the Rax was honestly taking that much damage. I thought the fight was happening so much. I think that's range barracks as well. So for now, to create a little bit of map pressure, I'm just going to sit back and I'm going to put a little clump of wards right here. That way, if they form the creep waves will run into my wards, and then it's just going to push the lane anyways. I'm just trying to put the poison on all of the creeps here. Although they actually do kill the wards fairly fast. 4 is not quite enough. If you have like 5 or 6, then it can pretty much stop any push. But it's totally fine for me to just back up and micro this a little bit and take more CS. Because the lane pressure will always be here, and this means more heroes are going to be here and less here and here. I decided that I wanted to make a Aghanims next. I actually haven't used my Force very much. It's not very good against Bloodseeker, because if somebody gets ruptured, then I can't force them to safety, basically. I almost have my Aghanims as well, but it looks like the courier's already flying out, so I won't be able to get it immediately, which is too bad. This Axe is not doing very solid calls, I think. What an ulti, guys. I actually got 0 people with my ulti there. Easily my worst ulti of the game. I thought Axe was going to go on me as well. Unfortunately, the cooldown is still pretty long at this level too, so that was a pretty big mess up. We still got the tower, but definitely could have gone a lot better. And again, I can put some Plague Wards down to do the split pushing, or at least stop the push, but it's generally better just to TP back at this point. I don't want to have to worry about Prophet. I just want to go home, buy my Aghanim Scepter, get it completely full mana, and I can go back out on the map. So the reason Ags is so fantastic on Venomancer, and I do think it's actually one of the best Ags, the damage increases by another 28 damage per second or something like that, but it also increases in duration. So the damage goes up to 108 per second, and it's 16 seconds duration. So you're basically doing around 1,600 points of magic damage. This is like one of the highest single nukes in the game. It's a really slow nuke, it's damage over time, but it is by far one of the best nukes in the whole game. Easily. It does so much damage. If you get Poison Nova'd and Gale, you are literally going to die. Sometimes even if you TP back to base, you will die in base. It doesn't matter. It does so much damage that it does more damage than the fountain can regen you. It is a ton of damage, a huge amount of damage. It's really good to get. It also puts your cooldown down to 60 seconds, so you basically every engagement, every gank, every fight, you should be able to Venomous Gale, or sorry, Poison Nova, the enemy team. Really strong ultimate, I promise. I don't necessarily want to steal those last sets. I'll let Anti-Mage pick them up. The extra stats is actually really good as well, because it puts you in a fairly tanky position. I'm going to just force an in mech here. I'm going to wait until that ends, and then I'll ulti about now. So that the reason I waited is because I wanted to make sure that it also hit the Juggernaut here. I'm not sure if I got the Rubik or not. I did get the Rubik with my ulti, and I also got the axe. And that's what it does. It doesn't matter if you ulti on 4 people and you Gale 2 of them, they're just gonna die.
Courier has been killed.
He actually tornadoed when I was Galing, but that's fine. Looks like we're still gonna live. Yeah. I wanted to save the ulti. I messed it up in the last fight because Jug was spinning, but I used it too early. If he's magic immune, the Nova's not gonna hit him. It's not like he's magic immune, the Nova hits him, it doesn't do damage for that period of time. It's like, it'll just dodge. So if you have, for a hero like Venomancer, it's really important that you throw your abilities before they go magic immune. If they land before they go magic immune and then they go magic immune, the buffs stay on them, it doesn't remove them. They just don't take magic damage from it during the ticks. But the nice thing is that it lasts so long, it lasts 16 seconds, that no matter what your magic immunity is, it's gonna eventually do damage to you again. So I just wanted to save it until the Jug was almost done with his spin, so that as I used my ulti, it was gonna hit him as well. Because I knew that if it hit him as well, he was very likely gonna die. He already used Omni Slash, he already used spin. At that point, it's pretty much over. Again, ultied on 2 people. I was able to mech for the Invoker here. Yeah, I'm just gonna TP out. He might actually die to that. It's gonna be kind of close. Looks like he is gonna live, but it was kind of close. I'm gonna sell my wand now, and I'm gonna get a Blink Dagger here. I actually really like Blink Dagger as a late game item on pretty much any hero. Except for carries. On supports, it's easily worth it when I'm this farmed. Again, I've been really greedy. I haven't bought any wards. But the Shadow Shaman's been doing a really nice job in covering for me there, which is nice. It's just fun to go greedy support sometimes. I only recommend it if you're actually doing well. Like, I'm really far ahead at this point. I could have been a mid-hero or whatever else. I think I decided to buy some support stuff and put it on courier, but Blink Dagger is really good in this case, because I could have used my Force Staff to maybe initiate last fight. But I didn't. I just actually walked in because it was good enough. I was able to catch both on the edge of my ulti. But now I can just blink in on the middle 5 heroes, hopefully, if they're vaguely grouped at all, and then ulti them. I mean, the AoE is really big. It's your whole screen, essentially. So, blink ultis are the thing of the future, guys. I wouldn't recommend getting Blink early at all, though. I think Force Staff is easily better early. At this point, when my HP is ridiculous, I have a good utility item. I have 2 utility items. A Blink is way better at this point in the game. I could have gotten another utility something. I could have gotten like a Rod of Atos, or I could have gotten start working towards a Sheep Stick, or I could have been working towards a Pipe or something. I could have done all of those things. This is definitely true. But I think a Blink is really solid. I actually don't know why I'm farming. I really don't need any more farm this game. Maybe I was just tunnel vision because I was having fun, but this is like a perfect perfect scenario Venomancer game. Most games you won't do this well, and you actually won't have very much farm. But luckily for me, they actually don't have very strong heroes, and they basically can't solo kill me very easily. It's going to take a lot to do that. I just want to make sure that this wave doesn't get pushed up to the high ground because it'll give us better vision. We actually have stronger creeps since we raxed, so that was a bit of a waste, but if our creeps are pushing up here, it means that they are not going to be able to get in this position and maybe contest our Roshan, which is why it's sometimes good to push lanes out like that right beforehand. I'm just going to sell my TP, I'll pick up the gem, and this is going to cover us on warding and dewarding and all that stuff. So I'm just going to go look for observer wards as I pass through the jungle. This is usually the first thing you should be doing when you have a gem as a support hero. Just look for the common warding spots. It looks like they actually don't have any wards up in this part of the map, which is their mistake, but oh, there's actually a Prophet hiding down here, interesting. We're just going to push the wave a little bit. He actually did TP top. And we should be able to death push bottom. I don't know if that's a melee or a range barracks that we got, but it's actually not the best lane to push because it looks like we already got one of the barracks. It's probably better off for us to go top, but we're already here. It's not a huge loss. I'm not sure who has the Aegis. Anti-Mage does at this point. He's pretty farmed. He's definitely quite safe solo pushing, I think. As long as he doesn't get silenced twice in a row. So I'm just going to put a Plague Ward on the high ground to spot. And I can just Gale the axe here. My mech's actually gonna miss our ally here. Only got 2 with my ulti, but even still.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
I'm just gonna walk away from the Prophet because he was trying to kill me really hard. I didn't really have much left over.
They're the last you'll hear.
All worked out okay though. I wasn't able to ulti the Jug. I missed the Rubik as well, but it looks like they still died,
Radiant's
so
top tower has fallen.
no problem. And keep
Radiant's
casting
top
Plague Wards.
barracks are under attack. Radiant's top barracks has fallen. The Dire now have mega creeps.
That's gonna be it pretty much. I think the main reason we won this game is because their heroes were so shit though. I really think they picked bad heroes. It really helped a lot. Gonna keep debuffing. Ooh, I should have gone in an ulti. No, I saw that. I got wrecked. I missed my ulti on the Prophet, unfortunately.
Is under attack.
Like I would have died to my poison either way, but go poison. We got him. That's close. He almost ultied. So that's pretty much it. Support Venomancer. Aim for advantageous tri lanes or advantageous lanes, because if you just scale heroes, they're really slow, and as long as you're unlikely to die to them, then it's super easy kills.
Tower is under attack.
Aggressively warding your enemy's jungle is always a pretty good thing to do. I kept forgetting to look to see what the Prophet was doing. I think he just got EXP and kills from
Is under attack.
ganking and things like that. I'm not entirely sure though.
Radiant
And we're gonna stall on them a little bit. So yeah, just aim for your ultis. Make sure that you hope can hit like 2 or 3 Gale important melee heroes like Bloodseeker or Juggernaut or Axe. All 3 of those heroes are countered by slows, which is just one really good reason to have a Venomancer up. So I think I played pretty well this game. The Shadow Shaman played really well. I really think that guy played well. Invoker did okay, I think, and the Anti-Mage was okay as well. I was overall really happy with the game. So that's it for the game. That's a Venomancer game. I hope you guys enjoyed Venomancer. I know I haven't made a video of him forever for some reason. I don't know why, but he's fading off a little bit in the pro scene right now, but he's still a pretty good pup hero. I think my skill build is pretty much the best. A 2-1-5 or 2-1-4 build is also very good. Sometimes you should delay your ulti if you don't have arcane boots yet. Things like that. There's a lot of little like nuances that you can change decision making. He's kind of like Crystal Maiden in that sense. That his item build is or skill build is pretty wide and can variate. Is that a word? I think it is. Okay. Anyways, that's it. I'll see you guys later. I have more coaching videos coming up. I'm doing a lot of coaching this weekend. We have a match on Sunday versus 5&Q. It's our last group stage match of KDL. I can make my screen bigger, I suppose, while we're sitting here waiting. Let's do this one. Yeah, we have a group stage match on Sunday versus 5&Q. If we win that, we get 10 million won, which is about $10,000 because we have a big streak going. So pretty excited for that. If we win that, it's a 6-0. If we lose that, it's a 5-1. So would really like to win that match. Fingers crossed. If you guys live in Seoul, you can come. It's at the Nexon Esports Arena. You should be able to find the address online. It's in Gangnam. And our finals for KDL Season 1 is going to be on April 15th, I believe, is the date. We're guaranteed in the finals because we're easily going to have the best score, I think. At best, MVP Phoenix could go 4-2 overall, and at worst, we would go 5-1. And it's top 2 teams, so we'll play MVP Phoenix, because MVP Phoenix is not going to be bested in scores at this point either. They could be worst 3-3, best 4-2, I think. So we will be playing the finals. The winner, I think, gets 10 million won, or $10,000, and they also get an item set, which is pretty cool, for like an item set design for them, which is really sweet. So that's a pretty cool prize. So if we win that, we should have an item set that comes out in game that you guys can purchase if you want to support us. If you do, that'd be really appreciated. The money is going to be spread evenly across all of our players, so if you want it for someone or whoever else, then just understand that it is helping everybody. And I think that's everything. So I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching. Sorry again, the videos are a bit sparse, but we have about 3 weeks off after this week until April 15th, so we don't have any official matches, so my priority should be able to be relaxing, and YouTube. Fingers crossed. And I should probably make a Heroes of the Storm video semi-soon, because I know you guys are kind of interested about that. I haven't had a lot of time to play in the last week and a half, but hopefully more soon. So I think that's it. All right. Thanks, guys. See you later. Bye.